everyone, and welcome back to Emkin Gardening. Today we are going to be pruning our hydrangeas. We have 3 different hydrangea bushes on our property, but quickly I wanted to go over the different types of hydrangeas. So if you have hydrangeas on your property and you're not sure what kind they are, it is really important before you start pruning to kind of investigate a little bit more to see which type of hydrangea you have, because you prune them very differently. So if you have a big leaf or an oak leaf type hydrangea, those hydrangeas bloom on old wood, so you're not going to prune them the way we're going to prune our hydrangeas today, because you would cut off all of the buds that would be blooming. So if you have those 2 types that bloom on old wood, you would do the same 3Ds, try to clean up any of the weak stuff, but that's pretty much it. So you need to kind of let them be so that all of the buds that were formed last year would bloom. The hydrangeas that we have are Panicle. We have Panicle and we have Smooth hydrangeas, and those you prune differently. So with us, we have Limelite hydrangeas. We have 2 Limelites, and we have a Incrediball Blush. So our Limelites are Panicle, so they form these really big, almost cone-like blooms, and our Incrediball Blush is like a half sphere. It comes out like a really hot pink and then turns into like a blush. So we are going to prune those ones very differently, and I'll show you how. When you are about to prune your Panicle hydrangeas, like our Limelites, or that Smooth, like the Incrediball Blush, you start with the same process with the 3Ds, dead, diseased, damaged. We are going to clean up all the weak stuff, the well, that's broken, but kind of these like thinner branches that we don't really want. We're going to clean those up and then really clean up the base so it doesn't have all of that stuff in there that's most likely harboring things that we don't want. You will know that your hydrangeas are ready to be pruned in the spring when you start seeing the buds. There's a couple ways that you can do this. The first way is to look at your hydrangea and find a nice strong bud that you want to prune down to. So for example, you have several buds on this branch, okay, and you could prune it there. But if you look down, like there's other ones that are maybe a little bit bigger and stronger. So I'm going to prune it to that guy. And you're going to cut right above that nice strong bloom. Because remember, these guys are not like the oak leaf and the big leaf who bloom on old wood. These guys bloom on new wood. So this bud's going to bloom. It's going to have a new branch. And that's the branch that the new bloom is going to grow off of. So that's the first way that you can do it. And then the second way I actually recently have learned about, and you go up 3 blooms or 3 buds. So if you started here, you would just pop up 3 buds, 1, 2, 3, and cut. And it kind of takes the guessing work out of, okay, which bud is the strong bud? Which one's the big bud? You just start at the base of the plant, find 3 buds, and cut. So I'm very curious to do that method when I'm pruning our hydrangeas today, just to see what happens this spring, to see if it changes kind of how they perform. So yes, we're going to do 3Ds. You can tell there's a whole bunch of just completely dead branches in here. So we'll take out all the dead, the broken. I don't think we'll find anything diseased. We'll clean up the base, make sure there's lots of airflow and light flow in there, and test out that 3 bud method and see how it goes. All right. Alright, so that was a pretty great transformation for this guy. The inside of this plant was going through, it was really messy inside. It had like a whole bunch of wet leaves, and there's a lot of dead growth on the inside that I cleaned up, and it's nice and airy now. So I'm really excited because I think the plant's going to be able to breathe. It's going to be able to get light on the inside. We took it back pretty far. I kept some of the weaker branches that typically I don't think a lot of people would keep. This guy is still a little bit new, so trying to see what kind of shape we're gonna get in this area. Again, in the courtyard, we sometimes get some morning sun and some afternoon sun, but we actually didn't know if there was gonna be enough sun when we planted this hydrangea. But it bloomed last year, so that's a good sign. So the very last step that we're going to do is fertilize. So the two fertilizers that you can use is Espoma's Holly Tone. So you can use this with like your rhododendrons, your azaleas, or Rose Tone. We're going to use Rose Tone today. Remember, Rose Tone you can use on any type of woody shrub, which hydrangea's not. So we're going to just do around the drip line. Lexi, what's your favorite snack? And then we're going to continue the same process with our other two hydrangeas. Alright, so that is done. That was a project. Our Limelite did great. You can see that it's leaning this way. We had some heavy snowfall this past winter that kind of packed it down. And then something with the sunlight too in this bed isn't always quite right, so I think it might be reaching towards the sun or trying to reach towards more of the sun. But the Limelite turned out great. Our Incrediball Blush grows so big every year, and we were late pruning these guys a couple weeks. It was tough. So we cleaned up the base of it quite a bit because there were some older canes or branches from last year. So we got rid of those. We really did a good job trying to clean up so more airflow gets in there, more light can get in there. This is still pretty large, and I'm thinking maybe next early spring we're gonna do like a closer cutback of it and not keep it this large when we cut it back, just because it grows so big that all that new growth ends up becoming really heavy, and the blooms are really they're really large, so it can weigh it down a little bit. So we might have to just cut it back a lot more typically, because there's growth, there's, you know, leaves coming up from the bottom. So sorry. All right, so our last step is fertilizing and rubbing that in. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hydrangeas in our garden are such a payoff for us. They're beautiful and they're worth, they're really actually not that high maintenance. This guy is just really large. But like, as you saw with our Limelite, they're easy. but the payoff is just so amazing. So thank you for watching, and if you would like to follow us more on this journey, you can like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!